I was kidnapped. The kidnappers called Ethan. But he didn't believe them. He even said, "What happens to Chloe is no concern of mine." But he didn't know that after hearing his words, the kidnappers showed no mercy. They tortured me for 3 whole months. After 3 months of torture by the kidnappers, I finally escaped. Every inch of my body ached, but beyond the pain, there was a profound sense of confusion. Where was I supposed to go? Isn't that Ms. Chloe, the adopted daughter of the Hayes family? Why does she look so wretched? Look at her clothes. They're torn to shreds, and her shoes are gone. She's as filthy as if she crawled out of a dumpster. Is this some kind of bizarre new trend? Who knows? She probably did it to get Ethan's attention. She used to make a spectacle of herself pursuing Ethan. A crowd had gathered around me at some point, pointing and whispering. Hearing his name, my heart clenched painfully. I clutched my chest and squatted on the ground. Ethan, the man I once loved most, for him, I became the laughingstock of Silverwood City. Everyone knew how shameless I had been in my pursuit of Ethan. I even faked a suicide attempt, pretending to jump from a building to pressure him. That incident alerted the media and rescue personnel. When I came down from the building, Ethan slapped me to the ground. He gripped my chin. Looking at me with the utmost disgust, he said, "Chloe, you truly sicken me." But the truth of that incident was entirely different. I hadn't tried to pressure Ethan yet. He refused to believe me, no matter what. Just like this time, he didn't believe I had actually been kidnapped. I gasped for air. No one knew what I had endured these 3 months. I tried to stand, but my legs were too weak. I couldn't get up, but even if I could stand, where would I go? I was never going back to the Hayes residence. "Chloe, come here." I looked up at the speaker. He leaned against his expensive car, a slight frown on his face, annoyance clearly etched in his expression. Seeing my lack of reaction, the impatience in his eyes intensified. Ever since he met Brooke in college, he had grown increasingly annoyed with me. "What are you just sitting there for? Hurry up and get over here." It was only when I heard his voice that I realized I had collapsed onto the ground at some point. He thought I didn't want to move, but only I knew. I couldn't move. My hands and feet were trembling. The moment I saw him again, a chill ran through my entire body. "Ethan, I know I was wrong. I won't ever dare again. I don't love you anymore, either." I took a sharp breath, using all my strength to crawl in the opposite direction from Ethan. I had to run. I couldn't risk making Ethan angry again. I still had strength. I could run. But after only 2 crawls, a strong arm grabbed my body. It was Ethan's bodyguard, Ryan. He looked at me, his stoic face showing no intention of letting me go. "Ms. Chloe, please come. Ethan is waiting for you." I couldn't control my scream. "No, I won't do it again. I won't. Please let me go." I tried to break free, but I couldn't overcome his strength, even when I was at my fittest. I could never escape him. Every time I bothered Ethan, Ryan was the one who dragged me away. I was thrown into the car like a piece of trash. The moment the car door closed, my heart began to pound violently. I pressed hard against the car door, afraid to get close to Ethan. It was because I always pestered him that he had thrown me to the kidnappers, that I had been beaten for 2 months, enduring daily and nightly torment that made me wish for death. I was wrong. I was truly wrong. I shouldn't have fallen in love with him. I was wrong. Please don't hit me again. Ethan frowned as he looked at me. "Chloe, what are you hiding from? What's wrong with you? What happened to you?" I'm sorry. What else could I say besides I'm sorry? Ethan seemed annoyed after a moment's thought. He said impatiently, "All right, just be more obedient from now on. Stop with your staged kidnappings. Don't think for a second that this will make me like you." I lowered my head, my voice trembling. "I'm sorry for causing trouble. It won't happen again." I wanted to ask him why he couldn't believe me just once. If he had said one word, I could have been saved, but I didn't dare. When I heard Ethan say that my life or death was none of his concern, I knew he truly didn't care about me. During those days of torture by the kidnappers, at first, I still held on to hope, wishing Ethan would realize I had truly been kidnapped. But as the days passed, one by one, I completely gave up hope. I couldn't hope anymore. Couldn't love him anymore. Couldn't be willful anymore, and certainly couldn't cling to him anymore. Yet my heart still ached uncontrollably, like a pinprick. I had been beaten for 2 months. My body was covered in wounds. I should have been used to the pain. When we returned to the Hayes residence, Ethan pulled me inside. My arm hurt terribly, but I didn't dare shake him off. As soon as we entered, Brooke came forward. "Ms. Chloe, you're finally back. Go upstairs. take a shower, and change. If William and Mrs. Eleanor see you like this, they'll worry even more. Ms. Chloe, you might not know because you were gone so long, but a month ago, Mr. William and Mrs. Eleanor came back and found you weren't home. They were frantic, searching everywhere for you. Don't make them worry anymore. Brooke was Ethan's college classmate. After graduation, she joined his company as his assistant. She was supposedly his assistant, yet she appeared at the Hayes residence quite often, seeming more at home than I was. In just a few sentences, she made it sound as if I hadn't been kidnapped, but had simply run off to play. So Ethan had looked for me because Uncle and Aunt had returned. I looked at Ethan. What if they hadn't come back? What if they hadn't noticed I was gone? Would he not have bothered to look for me? Ethan looked at me too, but the moment our eyes met, I quickly lowered my head, suppressing the inexplicable fear in my heart. I ignored Brooke and went straight upstairs to shower and change. I couldn't argue with Brooke. It was pointless. Every time we argued, Ethan would yell at me, saying I was immature, but was clearly subtly taunting me and causing trouble for me. Couldn't he truly hear it? Submerged in the bathtub, looking at the bruises covering my body, my eyes stung with pain, tears fell, drop by drop. Crying had been a luxury during those days outside, because crying wasted water and energy, which was too much of a loss for someone who had nothing to eat or drink. Ms. Chloe, do you need help? Brooke had entered the bathroom at some point, looking down at me as I sat hunched in the bathtub, hugging my knees. When she saw the scars all over my body, a sneer rose in her eyes. Chloe, are you trying to use these scars to gain Ethan's sympathy? Do you think he'll pity you, or blame you for making his parents worry? Facing ridicule, I didn't feel anger, but fear. I remembered when I was kidnapped. The kidnappers received a call from a woman. They put it on speaker. It was Brooke's voice. She said to take good care of me, and if they saw a single unblemished spot on my body, they definitely wouldn't see the ransom. She also made me shout, I will never bother Ethan again. I am a dog. I don't deserve him. These words were etched into my mind, just like the pain, unforgettable. After 2 months of beatings, I had long since learned my lesson, that was to leave these people, and the further, the better. After showering, I changed into casual long clothes and pants. I no longer dared to wear those elaborate, delicate or sexy, revealing dresses from before to catch Ethan's eye. I would deliberately dress provocatively, like a flamboyant rooster strutting around now. I just wanted to keep a low profile, hoping he wouldn't even notice me. During dinner, Uncle and Aunt told me to eat more. The misunderstandings of the past are over. Chloe, don't be so willful anymore. Even now, they still thought I was just being willful and throwing tantrums. No one would doubt it if they said that, after all. I really had been very willful in the past and caused them a lot of trouble. A few times, I even landed myself in the police station, forcing them to come bail me out. I obediently said yes, trying hard to play my part in a harmonious family. But then, as I ate, I couldn't control myself anymore. Having not eaten properly for 3 months, I devoured the steaming food. My mind told me not to eat like this, that it would surely displease Ethan again, but my hands wouldn't stop, eating faster and faster. I wolfed down my food, getting it all over my face. In moments, a bowl of rice was gone. Uncle and Aunt watched, dumbfounded. Aunt was the first to react. She grabbed my hand as I reached for more. Chloe, what's wrong with you? I suddenly snapped out of it, putting down my plate and cutlery. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. Next time I'll eat slowly. Please don't hit me. Ethan's expression changed when he heard my words. He abruptly stood up and pulled me out of Aunt's embrace. Chloe, that's enough. How long are you going to keep throwing tantrums? Ethan's strength was too great. I, frail and broken, was directly yanked down. With a tearing sound, my pajamas ripped. Chloe, what happened to you? The chill of exposed skin made me involuntarily flinch. I looked at Ethan in terror. I'm sorry. Before I could finish, my stomach suddenly churned violently. After consuming roots, wild berries, and trash for so long, my stomach couldn't handle the rich food. I covered my mouth and ran to the bathroom. It felt as though I was going to throw up my entire stomach, my head spinning in waves. My stomach burned as if on fire, hurting so much that I curled up in a ball on the floor. I kept telling myself, Chloe, it's okay, the hardest part is over. It will get better. It will get better. At least now I was lying on a smooth floor, not a rough mountain path. And I didn't have to fear small critters and bugs crawling onto my body or into my ears. I had endured the month of my escape in the same way. I, who had always been clumsy, learned to climb trees, curling up to sleep in them, sometimes even falling down accidentally. I would fall and then climb back up, again and again, until I finally learned to sleep without moving an inch. See, I wasn't that delicate. I had been too pampered before, but I could endure hardship too. Outside, there seemed to be an argument. I couldn't hear it clearly, and I didn't want to. After a while, my body gradually regained strength. After vomiting just now, my mind gradually cleared. I had to leave. This was not my home. With here, I would never have peace in this house, and I didn't want to see him anymore. My room was on the second floor, and outside the window was the Hayes residence's back door. That back door had a doggy door, which I could squeeze through. I made up my mind and packed a few clothes. Deep in the closet, there was a debit card. It held the inheritance my parents left me, which I hadn't touched in years. The family and my parents were the best of friends, doing business together and overcoming difficulties. When trouble came to the construction site, my father shielded those people, allowing Mr. William to escape. My dad was beaten to death, and my mom, overwhelmed with grief, died in a car accident on the way to the hospital. I became an orphan overnight. From then on, I was adopted by the Hayes family. Knock, knock, knock. The door suddenly rattled. I jumped. Chloe, are you okay? It was Ethan. I clutched the clothes in my hand, cautiously speaking. Do you need anything? Ethan outside the door was silent. Just when I thought he had left, he spoke. Chloe, I want to talk to you. Can you open the door? Open the door? No. I didn't want to see him. I almost instinctively blurted out, I don't feel well. Don't come in. Okay. I won't come in. Don't rush. Whether it was my imagination or not, I actually detected a hint of panic in his tone. I sneered self-deprecatingly. How could he panic for me? He wished I was far away from him. Then get some rest. Ethan will come see you tomorrow morning. Ethan hadn't referred to himself as brother in a long time. I couldn't even remember how long it had been. I only remembered his looks of disgust. Over and over again, Uncle knew I wanted to leave and thought I was sulking with Ethan. He told me not to be angry, but also forbade me from leaving. We promised your parents would take good care of you. Chloe, please be obedient. Don't make us worry. Even though Ethan doesn't love you and isn't willing to marry you, you'll always be our daughter. We'll find you a good match and send you off with a grand wedding. I lowered my head, saying nothing. They always believed Ethan didn't love me, thinking I was just a one-sided infatuation. But the one who first said he loved me and wanted to marry me was Ethan. That summer, when I was 17, Ethan kissed me under a tree and asked if I would be his girlfriend and marry him. Blushing, I agreed, saying I would be his best girlfriend, his best wife. I happily prepared for my college entrance exams, wanting to go to the same school as him. But my grades weren't good enough, and I didn't get into his school. When I went to his university to find him during a break, I saw him being very intimate with Brooke. Brooke even secretly kissed his shadow. I charged forward like a madwoman, demanding answers, slapped Brooke, and called her out for seducing someone else's boyfriend. Brooke, covering her face, looked at me with an aggrieved expression. I'm just Ethan's classmate. We were only discussing a problem. Little sister, are you misunderstanding something? Ethan was furious. He forcibly dragged me away, saying I was unreasonable, telling me to go home and stop causing trouble. Why was defending my feelings considered causing trouble? But back then, I didn't know how to defend a relationship, so I just caused trouble again and again, hoping to drive Brooke away. In the end, Brooke didn't leave. Instead, Ethan grew to dislike me more and more, to the point where we couldn't even have a normal conversation. Every time he saw me, he could only think of the trouble I brought him. All right, I was wrong. I shouldn't have pestered him, shouldn't have held onto illusions about the love he promised. In the early hours, I took my small packed bag and slowly climbed down from the window. I didn't disturb anyone, crawling through the doggy door onto the street. Cedar Estates, far from downtown. It was quiet at that hour. Not a soul in sight, but it was safe here. Much better than the wilderness or an unfamiliar secluded road. No one would suddenly pop out to bother me, and no one would ogle me or chase me. Just a short walk further, out of Cedar Estates, and I could catch a taxi. I walked faster and faster, feeling the air grow fresher. Though my feet still ached from a month of walking, my legs were so heavy I could barely lift them. I felt completely drained, but hope lay ahead, and I felt a surge of joy. Just as I was about to leave Cedar Estates, someone called my name from behind, scaring me, and I bolted. but the person behind me ran too fast. He still caught me. I screamed in terror, let me go, please, just let me go. I dodged and sobbed, please let me go. I won't pester Ethan anymore. I beg you, just let me go. I had already avoided him. Why couldn't they just let me be? It was Ryan's voice. Ms. Chloe, I'll give you a ride. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. I opened my eyes, and through my tear-filled vision, I saw that the person in front of me was Ryan. The always stoic Ryan, who never showed any expression no matter how much I kicked, punched or cursed at him, calling him Ethan's dog. What do you want? He was very loyal to Ethan. He must have been sent to catch me. Ryan released me, raised his hands, then pointed behind him. I have a car. I can give you a ride. If you feel unsafe, you can hold your phone and call the police anytime. He spoke carefully, maintaining my sense of security. I still got into Ryan's car. He asked where I wanted to go. I thought for a moment, then went to a 24-hour fast food restaurant first. There, I found an apartment online, one ready for immediate move-in. Ryan stayed at a respectful distance, watching me carefully drink porridge, then taking me to look at the apartment. It was a small apartment, but it was in a neighborhood with many young people, and the security was excellent. After I rented the apartment, Ryan told me to wait outside. He found rags and a mop himself, cleaned the entire place, ordered a bunch of daily necessities online, and hired someone to change the locks. Once the locks were changed, all the keys were put into my hand. Don't give them to anyone. I asked how much it all cost. He paused, then showed me the receipts, and I transferred the exact amount to him. Please don't tell the Hayes family I'm here. Ryan said okay. After I went inside and locked the door, I heard him say he was leaving in my own apartment, undisturbed by anyone, free from Ethan's disgust. I slept for 3 days and 3 nights. When I woke up again, I was in a hospital. Ryan was beside me, along with a police officer. The police said I had been unconscious for 3 days and 3 nights. Ryan, worried, eventually called the police. They broke down the door and brought me to the hospital. Ms. Chloe, we've examined your injuries. Do you have any other leads regarding the kidnappers? I was a bit dazed, but I described the kidnappers' features. Then I couldn't help but ask, did anyone report my kidnapping before? The officer shook his head. No, 3 months, and no one had reported it. I lowered my head. Thank you. I appreciate your trouble. 3 months had passed, making it difficult to find clues. The police asked me to be patient and wait for results. If needed, they would ask for my cooperation in the investigation. The police left, and a doctor came to explain various precautions. I had too many injuries. My stomach and intestines were ruined, and my lungs were infected from inhaling too much mold, requiring a large amount of antibiotics. In short, I needed to rest, otherwise, I wouldn't survive. The doctor knew I lived alone and suggested I hire a housekeeper. I took out my phone, wondering where to find a housekeeper. Ryan hesitated for a moment. If you trust me, you can hire me. I know first aid, I can cook and clean, and I can be a bodyguard. I looked at him in surprise. The family? I resigned. Don't worry. They don't know I came to find you. Ryan was indeed a very good bodyguard, however. He was a man, I was a woman, and he used to be Ethan's bodyguard. Moreover, he was a capable man, with high wages previously. For him to be my housekeeper now seemed like a waste of his talents. Ryan said it was fine. He was willing to prove his character. Ryan brought the police officer back in. Tell her. The officer handling my case smiled and said, he was my comrade in arms. He was in the police force before, but resigned after an injury. His character is guaranteed. You can save my number. If you have any problems with him, contact me. In the end, I hired Ryan as my housekeeper and bodyguard. However, I needed 24-hour care, and that apartment was only big enough for one person, so it clearly wasn't suitable. Ryan suggested I move into his place. His apartment was a 2-bedroom, so there was enough space. I awkwardly said, then I'll pay rent. I only stayed in the apartment for a few days before moving. Ryan even negotiated with the landlord to get my deposit and the rent for the next few months back. I only had my parents' inheritance now and couldn't earn money myself, so I had to be careful with my spending. Ryan truly took meticulous care of me, preparing 3 meals a day that I liked and could eat. He even made some medicinal baths for me to soak in, saying they were good for my injuries. We each had our own room, and he slept with his door open every night. If he heard any movement from my side, he would immediately rush in. I would have nightmares in the middle of the night, dreaming about being beaten. He would come over, stand by my door, and sing military songs. Listening to such righteous songs did indeed reduce the number of nightmares significantly. Ryan suggested I see a therapist, otherwise, the bottled up emotional pain would lead to greater illness. But I didn't want to go. I was scared. Seeing a therapist meant having to talk about what happened again, which felt no different from being hurt a second time. Ryan didn't pressure me. You can write a diary, or record it on your phone, to vent it yourself. He carefully protected my self-esteem and my extreme lack of security. It turned out that someone could also see my vulnerability and helplessness. I cried and said, "Do you also think I'm very willful? I always thought you hated me." When I used to bother Ethan, Ryan would always drag me out with a poker face, frowning whenever he saw me. His expression always seemed to say, "Here comes that troublemaker again." Ryan stroked my head and smiled. "I knew you never intended to jump from the building. You cherish life." After I caused that incident with the jump, everyone blamed me, saying I wasted police resources. No matter how I explained, they said I was just making excuses. But I really didn't intend to jump. My parents were gone. I was the only one left in the Kin family. For their sake, I would live well. The jumping incident happened because Brooke took a necklace my parents left me and threw it on the edge of the rooftop, telling a drunk me to retrieve it. I was swaying on the edge of the building, only trying to get that necklace back, but actually, after searching for a long time, I realized that wasn't my parents' necklace at all. The real necklace had long been placed in my room by Brooke. So when I tried to explain, Ethan slapped me. "Uncle and aunt's necklace is clearly in your room. Chloe, you're becoming more and more disappointing. You don't even respect your own parents, using them to make things up." I was also dumbfounded looking at the necklace, filled with the joy of finding something lost and then found again. Brooke lied to me. It was her. Even now, you still want to frame others. Even if you dislike Brooke, you shouldn't joke with your own life. Your willfulness truly disgusts me. The disgust in his eyes was too obvious. It stung my heart. From then on, I stopped trying to explain anything anyway. No one would believe me if I did, and just a few days after the jumping incident, I was kidnapped. Ethan must have thought I was just throwing another tantrum to get his attention, which is why he refused to believe me and didn't call the police for me. I clung to Ryan's arm and sobbed. Finally, there was someone in this world who believed me. Finally, there was one person who trusted me. After a good cry, I felt much better, and my body recovered faster. Seeing my quick recovery, Ryan even muttered quietly while cooking, "I should have let her cry earlier. Girls should cry when they need to." I waited outside the kitchen for dinner, unable to help but smile. However, the good times didn't last long. A month later, Brooke showed up. I don't know how she found Ryan's address, but she showed up and started accusing me. "Ms. Chloe, it's so willful of you to just leave like that. Do you know how worried the Hayes family is about you? And is the Hayes family's bodyguard? You suddenly ran off with him. Have you two been together all this time? How could you do such a thing?" She wore an expression of righteous indignation and heartfelt sorrow, making her seem like some kind of justice warrior to anyone who didn't know better. I stood behind Ryan, poking my head out to mock her. "Isn't it convenient for you that I left, clearing out space? What more do you have to be dissatisfied with? And don't slander Ryan. I chose to go with him myself." Brooke sighed. "I've told you before that you're misunderstanding. There's nothing going on between Ethan and me. Don't be so paranoid. Besides, you left without any explanation. Mr. William and Mrs. Eleanor are very worried," I said loudly. "I left a letter in the house. Unless you threw my letter away, they would certainly have seen it." Brooke's gaze flickered. It seemed my letter had indeed been thrown away by her. However, I had spoken to Uncle before I left. When he saw I was gone, he would surely understand that I had left on my own accord. So it wasn't as if I left without an explanation. Watching, still trying to lecture me, I suddenly rushed forward and shoved her. I actually didn't have much strength, but Brooke fell exaggeratedly, tumbling down the stairs. She cried out in pain, and sure enough, Ethan rushed up from downstairs. "Chloe, why are you still so unreasonable? I called Brooke to pick you up to come home. Why are you treating her like this?" I stood in the doorway, looking at him with a cold smile. She stood at the door, passive-aggressively saying all those things. Wasn't she just trying to provoke me into pushing her? "Isn't it fine if I just oblige her?" When wasn't present, Brooke was always sharp-tongued and sarcastic, never giving me a good look. But when Ethan was there, she was like a sympathetic older sister, sensible and gentle. She would always earnestly advise me to be good and cause less trouble for Ethan, saying Ethan was already very tired and so on. Compared to her, I seemed even more like an immature child. I was already familiar with her tactics when she spoke. I guessed that Ethan was downstairs and could hear our conversation. I was fed up, so I deliberately pushed her, firstly, to vent my anger, and secondly, to annoy Ethan, hoping he would leave. He had indeed come to take me back. But why should I go back just because he wanted to take me back? He always complained that I was annoying, said I caused trouble, and told me to stay away. I had already done as he asked, so why was he bothering me again, and acting like he was doing it for my own good? Ethan picked up Brooke and shouted at me, "Chloe, come home with me." I looked at Brooke, and she indeed let out a moan. "It hurts. It hurts so much." "Ethan, don't scold her. She's still young and immature." The more she said this, the angrier Ethan became. "Young? She's 25. How is that young?" Seeing that I wouldn't leave and Brooke kept crying in pain, he simply carried her away. Before leaving, he turned back and glared at me, meaning for me to wait. I grabbed Ryan's arm. "I'll be back." Ryan patted my hand. "Don't be afraid. They won't dare do anything to you." Ethan called me, telling me to come back, and also asked when I had gotten together with Ryan. "I never noticed before that you two were so close. Do you know what it means for an unmarried man and woman to live together?" I calmly said, "We are innocent. You can think whatever you want. I can't control it. You always said I was annoying and told me to leave. I've really left. So please stop bothering me. I have my own life now." This was the first time I had spoken to him so calmly. Ethan was silent for a moment, hearing no sound. I hung up, but he called back quickly. "Chloe, are you deliberately trying to annoy me? Is this your new trick?" I was very calm. "No, I'm not annoying you, and I won't annoy you again, nor will I play any tricks with you. We were never meant to be together. Let's go our separate ways from now on." I was telling the truth, but he still didn't believe me. He was convinced I was playing tricks, trying to attract his attention. I could only say, "Ethan, during those 3 months I was kidnapped. I thought about a lot of things. In the end, I realized you don't have that much charm. You're not worth risking my life for." After my parents died, I moved into the Hayes residence. Mr. William and Mrs. Eleanor were busy, so Ethan was the one who helped raise me. He checked my homework, made sure I ate properly, and managed many small details of my life. Lacking love, I quickly became dependent on him, calling him brother and clinging to him in everything I did. Back then, he was my world. I thought I couldn't live without him. When I first came back, I was very scared. I only felt that I had to stay away from him to survive. Everything about me was connected to Ethan. Whether I could live or not was also connected to him. But these past few days, I suddenly realized that I could live without Ethan. In this world, anyone can survive without anyone else. Elusive, unattainable love isn't worth pursuing that much. So I let go. Completely let go. Ethan froze. "Chloe, you used to call me brother. Since you came back, you haven't called me that once." I smiled sadly. "I don't dare. If I did, I would get hit." The call ended amidst Ethan's questioning voice, and I didn't contact him again. Another month passed, new holidays, and Ryan and I were busy preparing for them. Ryan said he hadn't celebrated the holidays with others at home for many years and wanted to make it lively, and I hadn't properly celebrated the holidays in years either. Ever since Ethan started to dislike me, he would avoid me during the holidays. Because of this, the Hayes family couldn't have a proper reunion, and Uncle and Aunt had some complaints. Without me, the Hayes family could reunite, couldn't they? However, on early December, something still happened. Ethan took advantage of Ryan being out buying things and forcibly took me away. I struggled desperately in the car, accidentally opened the door, and fell out of the fast-moving vehicle. I felt a surge of pain all over, hit my head on something, and my vision went black, completely losing consciousness. When I woke up again, I was in the Hayes family's private hospital. Ethan sat beside me, looking at me with concern. I blinked, looked at him, then at the ceiling. I wanted to find my phone but couldn't find anything, and my whole body ached intensely. Ethan quickly pressed me down. "Chloe, don't move. The doctor said your old wounds haven't healed, and you have new ones, so you can't move." My head ached terribly, and I felt nauseous. "Where's my phone? I need to make a call." Ethan's expression changed. He feigned composure. "Mr. William and Mrs. Eleanor know about you and will be here soon to see you. Just lie down," I said coldly. I need to call Ryan. He must be worried since I haven't returned after so long. Ethan's face completely changed. Ryan stole you from home. I'm being generous by not holding it against him. He has ulterior motives. You shouldn't contact him again. I looked at the ceiling and smiled. What do you mean, ulterior motives? Ryan saved me, gave me several months of stable life, took care of me, and healed my physical and emotional wounds. How could that be called having ulterior motives? Ethan didn't want to talk about Ryan. He just looked at me and asked, Chloe, where did you go during those 3 months? I looked at him in surprise. You don't know? He actually asked me where I had been for those 3 months. Ethan looked somewhat guilty. You really? I was really kidnapped? I realized he truly thought the kidnapping was an act, and I just felt like laughing. It was too ridiculous. You must know about my injuries and past medical records by now, right? Do you really think I lied to you? How could I possibly use my own life to deceive him? Ethan's eyes reddened, filled with profound regret. Chloe, I didn't know. I thought it was just you causing trouble again, like with the jumping incident. I truly didn't know. I listened quietly, not sparing him another glance. Believe it or not, I never intended to jump, nor did I ever think of risking my life to pursue love. My parents are gone. When they died, they told me to live a good life. I cherish my life. I had said those words many times before. But Ethan was furious then. He didn't believe me, saying I was just causing trouble and bringing shame to our parents. This time, when I said it again, he finally believed me. Apparently, I had to be battered, bruised, and nearly killed before he would trust me. Ethan, his eyes red, asked, They really kidnapped you? What did they do to you? Recalling those 3 months felt like a true nightmare. I had never been willing to talk about it before, not even with Ryan. But back then, I didn't dare tell Ryan because I knew he would feel terrible for me. He had been so good to me. I didn't want to cause him such pain. Looking at Ethan then, I began to speak with a hint of morbid satisfaction, recounting every detail. In the beginning, they thought I was valuable, so they treated me quite well, keeping me locked in a room. It had a toilet and I could shower, and they brought me 3 meals a day. They were very polite. Later, they called you, and you told them to wait. That's when they realized I might not be as valuable as they thought. After a few days, they couldn't wait any longer. They started to withhold my food, beat me relentlessly, and force me to drink toilet water. Ethan's body trembled. He probably couldn't imagine how terrified and helpless I was at the time. All I felt was a sense of absurdity, watching his pain mix with a sliver of satisfaction. Only later did I discover that being able to drink toilet water was a kind of blessing, because soon after, they stopped giving me water altogether. Once, I went 3 days without water and nearly died. Fortunately, there was a heavy rainstorm that day. The house leaked, and I was tied up outside in the downpour. I was so happy when I saw the rain, because I could finally drink water. I was like a dog then, sticking out my tongue to lap up the rainwater, crawling on the ground, searching for puddles. Stop, please stop. Ethan couldn't bear to listen anymore. Every word I spoke was like twisting a knife in his gut. He only felt a pang of heartache, but I had literally been stabbed. They received a phone call saying they would get a ransom just by torturing me. So, they started devising various ways to torment me, hanging me up and beating me, pricking me with needles, burning me with cigarette butts, and even putting plastic bags over my head to see how long I could hold my breath. They tied me up securely and made me eat like a dog. Being able to eat was still a luxury, since I often went several days between meals. Ethan suddenly stood up and shouted, Stop talking. I ignored him, continuing to speak calmly. Eventually, they never received the money, and their interest in me gradually waned. They decided to find a place to sell me. I seized the opportunity to escape. I got lost and didn't know where to run, nor did I dare to ask anyone for help. I was lost and walked for a long time, searching for food in dumpsters and drinking rainwater and dew from trees. I lived like a wild animal out in the open. Finally, I made my way back. After I returned, I met him, and he told me to stop causing trouble. Finally, having recounted the 3 months of my ordeal, I suddenly let out a breath, feeling a sense of release. It seemed Ryan was right. Talking to someone would lighten the load. I should have listened to him sooner, but was already broken. Are you saying Brooke called them? I blinked. You can pretend you didn't hear it. After all, you wouldn't believe me anyway. For years, he had never believed anything I said. Ethan stormed out and didn't return for several days. My body felt a little better, and I could get out of bed again. I wanted to leave, but the bodyguards, doctors, and nurses stopped me. They said I was severely injured and needed to recuperate, and that Ethan had given strict instructions not to let me leave. I was indeed gravely injured and couldn't escape, so I endured for a few more days, trying to find a phone to use, but no one was willing to lend me one. Ethan hired a therapist who came every day to talk with me, but I no longer wanted to talk. I only asked her if she could lend me her phone. I just wanted to call Ryan and tell him where I was. The therapist sighed. "I'm sorry, I can't lend it to you," but she whispered, "I can help you deliver a message." I thanked her and gave her Ryan's address, asking her to tell him that I was fine, not to worry, and that I would try my best to get back. But the next day, the therapist didn't come, and she never came again. She had been fired. I counted the days in the hospital, sharpening a shard of broken glass I had secretly hidden. When I had recovered enough, I knocked over my medication, then took the shard of glass and tried to cut my wrist. The glass was too dull, and it took a long time to even make a shallow cut. Doctors gave me a sedative, and several people held me down on the bed. When I woke up again, Ethan was sitting beside me. After half a month apart, he looked significantly more haggard. He used to be handsome and dashing, but now he had enormous dark circles under his eyes, his complexion sallow, looking more like a patient than I did. He pleaded with me cautiously, "Chloe, please stop this, just live, and don't get hurt again, okay? Stop this." I laughed hysterically at him. "You think I'm making a scene?" "I don't want to make a scene either, but you won't give me a chance. I just want to leave. I need to see Ryan. Please let me see Ryan. He's all I have left. Please." I ripped out the 4-drip and knelt before him, begging him to release me. "I've already died once, please. Just let me go. Let me go. I promise I will never appear before you again. I'll never bother you in Brooke's relationship again, please, please." I truly didn't know what to do. I was powerless and incapable, unable to escape, so I could only beg him. I had been so obedient, stopped clinging to him. So why wouldn't he give me a chance? Why couldn't he just let me go? Ethan also knelt, his eyes red as he tried to pull me up. "Chloe, don't be like this. Chloe, please, get up." He had never seen me so utterly humiliated. After all, I used to be so arrogant and unruly. I used to yell at Brooke right in front of him, calling her a manipulative, two-faced woman. I used to scream at him, telling him he had betrayed our love, calling him a scumbag. I was so brazen, so utterly reckless, and so prone to self-sabotage. He didn't know what to do with me, but I couldn't understand why he wouldn't let me go. If he hated me so much, why was he acting so tender and loving now? I continuously prostrated myself on the floor, kowtowing, begging Ethan for mercy. This meant nothing to me now. After all, during my captivity, I had kowtowed to the captors countless times after being beaten, pleading for them to let me go. As stood there, at a loss, someone burst in and slapped him. "Ethan, is this how you take care of Chloe?" Uncle and aunt burst in. One tried to pull me up, while the other repeatedly struck Ethan, sending him stumbling back against the wall. I didn't get up. I kowtowed to them too. "Please let me go, please, please." I truly didn't know what to do. I could only beg them to release me, and embraced me, sobbing uncontrollably. "Chloe, I'm so sorry. We only just found out that you were kidnapped. We're so sorry, Chloe. We failed you, and we failed your parents." As she held me, my injured head, bruised from repeatedly hitting the floor, started to bleed again. My consciousness began to fade, but I kept repeating that I wanted Ryan. I wanted to go home. I wanted to go back to the home only Ryan and I shared. I heard Uncle yelling at people, Ethan apologizing, and Aunt crying. It was like I was back in childhood after my parents had suddenly died. I stood in the funeral home, watching the mourners come and go, crying and pushing them away, calling for my mom and dad. In the chaos, someone took my hand. "Chloe, from now on, my home is your home. My parents are your parents. I'll always be with you." I looked at Ethan's chubby, innocent face, crying and saying I didn't want him. I just wanted my own mom and dad. Later, when we grew up, it was Ethan who pushed me away. "You're so annoying. Can't you stop being so melodramatic? When are you going to grow up?" I jolted myself awake. I moved my hands, but they were firmly held. "Chloe, you're awake." It was Ryan. He was back. He was unshaven, looking haggard and exhausted, but his eyes were bright, and I saw my reflection in them. "Ryan, I want to go home." He stroked my head. "Okay, let's go home." Ryan carried me home. Ethan stood a short distance down the hallway, watching silently. He tried to step forward, but the Hayes family's bodyguards blocked him. Only after returning to Ryan's place did I truly relax. He apologized to me. I knew Ethan had taken you, and that you were injured. Actually, I secretly visited you while you were unconscious. But I was busy apprehending the culprits then, so I could only leave you there for a while. I'm sorry. If I had known it would turn out this way, I wouldn't have left you. It won't happen again. The female doctor had sent him a message. He knew my condition was serious and rushed back. I smiled, taking a sip of the soup he had made. It's okay. After this, Ethan has completely given up on me. The next news I heard about Brooke was her arrest. She had contacted the kidnappers, and it was her order to torment me. After her arrest, she also confessed to framing me in the jumping incident before. Ethan also turned himself in, claiming that he had abandoned me and failed to rescue me in time, and thus was also guilty. After interrogation, the police found that he indeed had been negligent and arrested him too. He wrote me a letter, apologizing for not believing me. Chloe, I love you. I don't know why things between us turned out this way. Perhaps constantly looking after you made me feel weary, and it was my selfishness that made me see you as a burden. Regardless, it was all my fault. I understand that you're afraid of me now and don't want to see me, but I still hope you'll give me a chance. After I've served my sentence, let's go back to how we were. I didn't give him a chance to return to the past. I proactively contacted the police and wrote a statement of leniency, hoping he wouldn't go to jail. Nor did I give him a chance to make amends. Actually, it wasn't entirely his fault. My past behavior was indeed like that of a crazy person, a burden to him. No one would have liked it. I wrote him a statement of leniency for 3 reasons. First, because I didn't want to go back to the past with him. Second, because I also had my own faults. And third, for uncle and aunt's sake. Over the years, they had truly put their heart and soul into caring for me. Ryan let out a quiet sigh of relief after I explained. I thought you were going to forgive him. I chuckled. Are you jealous? Ryan seemed a bit awkward. I'm not jealous. I just think if he's a real man, he should see his words through to the end. If you can't deliver, don't make empty promises. He believed it was entirely Ethan's fault. My past frantic behavior was perhaps a little inappropriate, but not a mistake. I wrapped my arms around his neck and laughed. You're so fiercely protective of me. Why didn't I notice that before? When did Ryan fall in love with me? He couldn't even say himself. By the time he realized, he was already deeply entangled. During those 3 months, he searched for me relentlessly. The moment he saw me return, he was the most excited, but he dared not show it. When he realized I wanted to leave, he made preparations to take me with him and give me a stable home. It was also he who, during the time Ethan had taken me back, followed clues to catch the kidnappers and brought them to justice. If not for him, Brooke might not have been caught so quickly. Later, Ryan and I got engaged. When came looking for me again, I didn't give him a chance to meet alone. His eyes red, he asked, is there really no more chance? I missed out, didn't I? I held Ryan's hand. Yes, there's no chance. Goodbye. Due to his emotional instability, Ethan was sent abroad to recuperate. He didn't attend my wedding. I no longer hated him, but I also felt no lingering affection. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any thoughts about this story, feel free to share them in the comment section.